So there's like a say that mostly comes in, I guess it's January or February from the new year. So that's regularly on Twitter that says like, not your keys, not your coins, and everybody is withdrawing like crazy from the exchanges. So I always thought that's a bit odd. But what's your take on that? I'm very curious.
That's probably the sentence I read and hear most often on the internet these days when you search about crypto. I think there's a lot of misconceived ideas here about not your keys, not your coins. And again, back to what we were saying earlier, the FTX situation has made it a lot worse. I think it's a little bit more nuanced than that. The problem we have today is that people don't trust centralized exchanges, and because of one party, then everyone assimilates all centralized exchanges as being not trustworthy. Well, luckily that's not the case. So, you remember in 2008, there was a financial crisis and Lehman Brothers went bankrupt. Well, that doesn't mean all banks did the same thing and, the system survived, and a few years later, looking back, no one is really talking about that anymore. So I think it's important for people to be able to make the difference between a good, and by good I mean an exchange that has high standards, that has proven to be reliable, and an exchange that is, with less supervision, with a lot more opacity, where you don't know where your coins are, where your cash is, if there's regulation, where is the company based. All of that is what makes, the not your keys, not your coin an interesting question. So the first question is, where is your exchange based? When it comes to us, we are based in Amsterdam, in the center of Amsterdam, registered with the Dutch Central Bank. So in that sense, the first question is, if I have a problem, then where can I go, And when you have a Dutch party with a Dutch consumer, it makes it very easy to know. You can even come and have a coffee at our office. If you have an issue, we'll be there. I think the next thing is, are my assets commingled with the one of the exchange or not? And that makes a fundamental difference. So you have some exchanges where if you read their terms and conditions, you won't be able to find the answer. And that's a problem, because it's the responsibility of an exchange to make sure that people can very easily understand, okay, are my assets mixed with those of the exchange, or are they segregated? Asset segregation is a huge part of the answer and a big part of the future of crypto. So I think when you look at us, for example, we have a stichting which does not perform any commercial activity whatsoever. The only purpose of that entity is to store the cash and the coins of our clients. That's it. It doesn't do anything. So in essence, if we go bankrupt tomorrow, the coins are absolutely safe, all of them. They're also part
because they're in
the stichting. Yeah. And the stichting is completely separate. We are not a shareholder, and by the way, we are not the only one having the structure. Luckily, I think in the Netherlands there are a couple of exchanges who also use asset segregation, and that means it's important to understand when we are not a shareholder of the stichting, so we cannot just take the money or the coins and and go away with it. That cannot happen. And that's why a stichting exists in the first place. The Netherlands has this system, this foundation that many countries don't have. I'm French. In France, we don't have that. So that's something that is very important for our customers to understand. You can say not your keys, not your coins. Yes. However, if you are trading with an exchange that has asset segregation, is based in a jurisdiction which has high standards in terms of regulation, then essentially you have a certain peace of mind. Now, what's also important to understand is, you can have asset segregation partly or fully. For us, it's a full one-to-one. So if you look at our database, if you sum up all the positions of our clients, and if you look at our stichting, you will see it matches one-to-one. There are some exchanges who do coins lending with their client, with the assets of their clients. So, for example, they just lend your Bitcoin. You have one Bitcoin in your wallet, in your account, and the exchange will just lend it to a third party.
Well, that's a big problem, isn't it?
Well, that's a big problem.
If it goes wrong.
It's a problem if you're not aware of it. If you are aware of it as a client and they ask you permission, hey, can we lend? Do you want to, I'm not going to use the word stake because Bitcoin cannot be staked, but do you want to earn a yield on your Bitcoin? And you say, yes, I would like to. Do you understand that this means we will lend your Bitcoin to a third party who is going to pay us interest to lend your Bitcoin? And you say, yes, I would like that. then it's fine. You're aware of it. If something goes wrong, you understand the risk, they're explained to you. The problem is when this is not explained to you and when this is not disclosed. And I think there's been a few events like that in the Netherlands in the last month. And that's something that, again, it is the responsibility of the exchange to make sure that people are aware of the risk. So bottom line, when I hear people saying not your keys, not your coins, I understand that people want to have control over their crypto. But these are the same people who also have a bank account, which they use every day. So I always find it interesting when people are so strong, have such a strong opinion about where they want to store their crypto, and because some don't trust the financial system, which is a fair answer. Everyone is free to think what they want, but then you shouldn't have a bank account. Because if you have a bank account, then you're also trusting the financial system. Yeah. If you use your PIN card to go to do your groceries, then you're trusting the financial system. So it's always a bit funny. I think there's a paradox there. And when I see people say, you know, I want to use my ledger, and we say, we fully understand. And that's what we're building. We're making sure people can use their ledger if they want to. But what I'm always surprised is that it's not particularly convenient to use a ledger. I don't know if you've ever used one, but it's not like one click, it's there.
No.
You have to.
It's a pain in the ass.
Well, I didn't want to use that word, but you did it for me. Thank you. But there is, you know, it's a process.
Yeah.
It's sometimes expensive. If you lose the ledger, well, then you're going to start not sleeping well at night. So I cannot imagine that people use ledgers, for example, because it's so convenient, so easy, so cheap. You know, it cannot be the reason. The reason why people use ledger, especially now more than ever, is because they are scared. And that's the problem. It's because of FTX. Everyone is scared. And when an exchange like us, who is, you know, really making sure that, again, we're transparent, we focus on safety more than anything, well, we pay the consequences of other exchanges who are based in the Seychelles, in Mauritius Islands, in Panama. I have nothing against these locations, don't get me wrong. But the problem is people cannot see the difference between what is good and what is bad. So I think it's going to take a bit of time. People need to be educated, but it's to really answer the question, I think not your keys, not your coins. Yes, to some extent, but if you trade with you know, an exchanges that has all the things I mentioned, then you can sleep well at night and make sure and trust that, you know, your assets are safe.
I think that's a very, for some, a controversial opinion about the subject, not your keys, not your coins. But I rather thank you for your explanation on that subject. So thank you for watching.
Thank you, Steph.